No guarantees in life exist, and death we may try to resist. Yet when we open to the thought, sweetness of life is what we're brought. I'll say anonymous because I didn't know who wrote it. Ingrid, would you like to light our chalice today?
Be privileged.
Take a little candle over there. Here. This is our typical candle.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nothing can stop the light. Except
Finding your heart wide open, stretch your arms towards the heavens and hurl your soul into space. Never for one moment deny the love flowing through your veins. Never ever hold back that wild, roaring aliveness wanting to kiss the sky. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Spirit of Life, number 123. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We're glad you've joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous people historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this space. Let's pause for seconds. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in faith of spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles. Today's service centers around 2 principles. Number 3, the acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. And the 4th principle, we affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. My name is Dolores Miera, and I'm your worship associate for this morning's service. I'd like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you joined us this morning. And if you wish, please raise your hand. And if you'd like, please introduce yourself or your guest.
I brought a guest. His name is Gary, and Both of us are actually members of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Slough.
Nice. Thank you. Oh, yes.
I'd like to introduce my friend Christy Webb.
Hi, Cookie. Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Anybody online? No. Okay. So if you're not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is a recognition of the nature of this community, as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is our prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. We set aside this time for any special announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. If something needs more explanation, contact the person after the service. If you'd like to make an announcement, please raise your hand. When Andy or I call your name, please step up to the podium or unmute yourself, then speak. Okay, got a few people here. Okay. Okay, Randy?
Good morning. Why do people laugh when I come up here? I don't understand. Is it me? Oh. Okay. This Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, right here in the sanctuary, I'm holding a WA training session. This is a pickup, if you will, for all of you who do worship associate services. So please be there if you can, and we'll get you up to date. And if anybody here who has not served as a worship associate would like to join in that worship associate pool, this is a great time to join. So we have about 15 people in that pool. I'd like to have a little bit more, like 18 or so. So again, you'll be doing what Dolores is doing right now for this service. Okay, so anyway, 11 o'clock right here next Saturday morning. If you are not part of the WA pool, get in touch with me and make sure we can have you there as well. Thank you.
I'm not doing push-ups. No push-ups.
Okay, everybody now hit the floor and give me 20.
Yeah.
This is going to be tall. Okay. Way up here. Okay. I'm just, this is a request. Our congregation has been in charge for many years of the San Simeon Food Bank Drive. And we've got a core group of volunteers that are amazing. But our group of volunteers has shrunk over the years. We lost some due to COVID. So this is kind of a plea if anybody would be interested in signing up as a volunteer. It happens once a month. It's the fourth Tuesday between 5 and 6, and if a little bigger group, we can rotate. So you might be called up 3 or 4 times a year. So anyway, so thank you all for considering it, and there will be a notice in the e-blast. Contact me if you're interested. Yeah.
You know, I used to come, but my back has been really bad. I would volunteer, but again, I don't know how my back's going to be able to do it. So
Yeah.
again, I'll
Well, thanks, Christy. Yeah.
like to volunteer.
I could put you on the list, and yeah, and if you're not up to it, that's the idea of getting a big pool, because I mean, there's a couple core volunteers, and when we're out of town, it's kind of tight. So, okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, Andy.
Thank you. 3 quick announcements. One, men's group meets here tomorrow at 10 a.m. And on Zoom. Second one is that the RE program is going to pick up the week after next, January 31st. It's a Wednesday at 4 p.m. here in the sanctuary to read the book of Principles of the, what's it called? You saw the book last week. The guide, pocket guide to Unitarian Universalism. That's what we're going to read through and discuss. And thirdly, the meditation group is on hold while most of our meditators are either out of town or away. I've been here on my own a couple times and don't really need to do that. So for now, we'll postpone the meditation group. Maybe it'll pick up again when the weather's warmer. I'm not sure when folks express more interest. Okay. Let me check online now.
Oh, wait, I have one.
Oh, wait, can I go after Andy? It's regarding. Just want to say, if anybody wants a ride to the RE program on the 31st or every Wednesday, the last Wednesday of the month, RE, I'm willing to pick you up. So just give me a call.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Andy.
And I don't see any hands raised online, so back to you.
Okay, so I've passed these out, Kathy passed them out for me. And on one side are our current principles. You may not recognize number 8, that was never officially in there, but I'd like you to, so these are our current principles. And on the back side, the UU values, that's what it's changing to, right? And we're gonna be voting on that in June. So, kind of read it and that way you can not be surprised when we call for a vote, right? And see what we all think, okay? So, just be familiar with them. So thank you. I just wanted to make sure you're all aware. Okay. Okay. All right. There we go. No other announcements. Okay. So next week, Reverend Rod Richards from the SLO UU will present We Need Help. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life. Express a gratitude or perhaps offer an acknowledgement. But please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship with us this morning. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. The first reading is titled The Magic of Death by Mike Robbins. There are so many beautiful lessons that death teaches us, even in the midst of pain, loss, confusion, anger, fear, and more. When we're willing to embrace death and remember that everyone and everything in physical form will eventually die, we are reminded to appreciate ourselves, each other, and life right now. Let go of our attachment to other people's opinions, our obsessions with appearances, and our self-consciousness about many aspects of our lives. Connect to others in a deep, profound, intimate, and vulnerable way. Speak up, go for what we truly want, and live in the present moment. Be grateful for what we have and for life as it is, not someday when things work out perfectly, which never happens anyway. Let us join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence. Let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in the silence, may there be a reverence in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness May we find the compassion and empathy we need to strengthen relationships. May we find ways to love each other well. May we not judge or condemn, but rather build a beloved community. The second reading is a continuation of the first reading from The Magic of Death by Mike Robbins. Death can be one of the greatest teachers for us in life, but not if we spend most of our time avoiding it because it can be painful, scary, and uncomfortable. Take a moment right now to think about some of the important people who have died in your life. What did you learn from them, both through their life and their death? What gifts have you been given in the form of tragedy in your life? How could embracing death more fully impact your life in a positive and important way? As we consider these and other questions about death, it's obvious that the answers aren't simple and easy. Neither is life. However, when we're willing to engage, embrace, and deal with death and life with a true sense of empathy, passion, and authenticity, we're able to not only make it, but to actually learn, grow, and thrive, regardless of the circumstances and even in the face of death. Please stand, embody, and our spirit, and sing The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time, number 350.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or say. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips into the past, and dreamlike melts away. The breaking of tomorrow's dawn begins anew today. The past and future ever meet in the eternal now, to make each day a thing complete shall be our new year vow.
Today's talk is titled Embracing Our Mortality, a celebration of life, to be delivered by Ingrid Pires. Ingrid is interested in helping people transform their losses from tragedies into opportunities to embrace life in a more profound way. She has a master's degree in psychology. She's a certified grief counselor, bereavement counselor at Dignity Health and Hospice, a bereavement manager counselor, and coordinator at Hospice in SLO. Ingrid received the Isabel Ruiz Humanitarian Outstanding Award for outstanding efforts in advocacy and caring for people in San Luis Obispo County. I just want to say, Ingrid is not an old friend, but a friend who okay, and we shared a room in where was it, St. Louis, Missouri, at GA, and it was total fun. So I know you'll enjoy this discussion with Ingrid. Thank you, Ingrid.
Yeah, there's no getting around it anymore. I'm getting old. But that's okay. I'm just fine with that. Good morning. So I appreciate being invited to come and talk about this, because you may not believe it, but it's not the most popular topic. I have found, however, that embracing my mortality has led to a deeper, more joyous, more fulfilling life. And so I'm happy to come and talk about that. My story of coming to this realization began at age 31. Until then, I was as death avoidant as anyone on this planet. I might have called this sermon Confessions of a Death Avoidant Woman, but for Ian in my life. So I want to say in advance, I'm okay. It was sad, but it led to good things because my son, who was a thoughtful toddler, tender-hearted, smart as a whip, kind, playful, and loving, he was also the soft spot in my heart and the biggest joy in my life. Unlike the candle this morning, which I had trouble with, he simply lit up the world until he was gone. I could not avoid Ian's death. When he was not quite 2.5, I took him to daycare on a Monday, believing him to be well. He died the following afternoon of a very quick spreading meningitis. I know. Sometimes I feel the emotion and I am feeling it in the moment. And that's one of his gifts, is emotion is okay. So that's anyway how I began, reluctantly, to develop a healthier relationship with my own mortality. I couldn't not talk about Ian. I could not cry when I talked about Ian. I couldn't not feel. And until then, I'd really avoided death in so many forms. Death, the dying, those who were grieving. It felt contagious to me as a young woman. It was simply too uncomfortable. But in the wake of Ian's death, it was impossible to avoid. And I found that people who had lost a child or experienced and survived the death of anyone very close to them provided me the most comfort in those days. So naturally, I eventually became a grief counselor and became one of them. People who actually talk about a subject every bit as taboo as, well, money, sex, and religion. From that beginning, 37.5 years ago, my ability to embrace and be informed by my own mortality has become a cornerstone of my enjoyment in life. And I will, but before I continue with my personal journey, I do want to say a few things about the benefits that people have found, both research-wise and anecdotally. You just heard from Mike Robbins through Dolores reading from his work. And what stands out for me from him, he, by the way, came into this issue of mortality through the death of his father. So for him, it was a very personal journey. And for him, it was a way to greater connection with everything, with people, with places, with animals, interdependent web of life. But there's also research, and that's been very briefly reported in a study in Personality and Social Psychology Review. And their work shows that people make healthier choices when they consider their mortality. Oh, I'm gonna die? Oh, well, I remember what my dad said when he had a major heart attack that he survived for 9 years. He had a major heart attack at 66, and he said, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself. So people do make healthier choices. Some of the things that they reflected were using sunscreen. Does anybody relate to that? Wearing hats, eating healthier, smoking less, exercising more. I was sharing with Margaret a little earlier that it's been a dozen or more years now, but I used to weigh over 300 pounds. So, I got there, and then I became more conscious and decided, okay, I'm not wanting to repeat what my dad said. So, yay. And part of it is that I've now gone to largely plant-based eating. And boy, I was an expert at losing weight, but I was an expert at picking it back up, and that doesn't happen anymore. So I am delighted. People also invest more time in their relationships, according to this article, becoming closer to each other, because they recognize that being alone is not very fulfilling. Thank you for that. And they also said that people are more grateful for each day when they consider that they have a limited time here. And that is part of my journey too. About a year and a half ago, I started to really focus on waking up each day and going, whew, I'm alive. I'm grateful to be alive. And I get to do this and that and the other, and even the stuff that I don't necessarily love, it's still good to be able to do it. I wrote a poem once. I won't read you most of it. I'll just remember the last line because it was a little steamy when I didn't know I was pregnant with my son. But the last lines were about each day. To me, it always be a jewel, and be it gentle or be it cruel. To me, it always be a jewel, an infinitely precious jewel. So gratitude just makes life so much more fulfilling. So in over 30 years of grief counseling, providing grief counseling, I've experienced that many clients wait until, maybe some of you have heard of this or participated in this. They wait till the last 5 minutes and then they go, oh, by the way, there was this one thing we haven't talked about yet, which turns out to be really the reason that they're there. So sometimes it's that awareness of the limited time left that allows you to get beyond fears, beyond your anxieties, beyond any of the obstacles that we tend to allow ourselves to get in the way of really a full embrace of life. So one of the other things I learned from working in the hospice world was from, I don't know if any of you have heard of the 5 things to say to someone who is dying, but it really is a sweet, sweet way to say goodbye to someone. And you can actually do it without them being on their deathbed. Please forgive me. And you fill in the blanks. Please forgive me for anything I might have done to harm you. I forgive you for anything you might have done that harmed me. Thank you. That gratitude piece again. Thank you for all you've brought to my life. I love you. It's really okay to say that. It's really okay to be that vulnerable. And goodbye, although goodbye is hard. So some language options include one of my favorites, until we meet again. You don't know if you'll meet again. You don't know when you'll meet again, but there is that thought, we can meet again. So goodbye until we meet again. I didn't get the chance to say goodbye to Ian. It happened before I was aware, and it happened so quickly, literally within, I'd say, 30 minutes of realizing, oh, something's really, really off. He was gone. It was that quick. But my husband, who came in later after this in my life, and was 25 years my senior, so I was prepared. I got to say goodbye to him. I got to use those words. I got to wrap my arms around him and say, wow, wow, have you made a difference in my life? So speaking of my life, I think I was born to this. My mother was diagnosed schizophrenic years before I came along. I was with her for 4 days at the hospital and then taken to a foster family who adored me and I adored them. They had me weekdays, my dad had me on the weekends. At 4, they started to talk to my dad about, maybe you'd like to make this more permanent. And he said, no. An aunt came from Norway. Both my parents were born and raised in Norway. And we lived together till I was 5 in the Bay Area, and then we moved to Norway for 2.5 years. Then we came back, just the two of us, and it was like, ay, ay, ay. I was a little girl, he was a man, he was slightly depressed. I was grieving the loss of my mom, my foster family, my Norwegian family. It was like, whew. But we got it okay. I went to Yosemite at 20, fell in love with the wrong man. And that was 8 years of interest. And in leaving him, I knew I was going for all time. I fell for someone I was working with while I was going to school. I finally did finish my college years during this time. Wow, this little joy was born, Ian. And I had 2.5 years of just amazing delight watching this little one seemingly start at the centered place it had taken me 28 years to get to. And he was there right from the start. So Ian was very healing in my life and brought so much joy. And then when he died, I thought, what am I going to do for the next 50 years? Can you imagine? You know, I was 31 when he died. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I went for purpose. I went back to school. I got my degree, my graduate degree in counseling psychology. But in the process of saying, well, I'm not ever going to be happy, so I'm going to help someone else be happy, I came again to that sense of mortality making a difference in how I go forward. When I started my education at UC Berkeley, I fell flat on my face because I took 2 classes I wasn't prepared for. And in working that through, I went on sort of a vision quest. And that vision quest led me ultimately to Shirley Temple in a little story called The Bluebird of Happiness. I don't know that any of you have seen that one. But they go everywhere, she and her little brother, looking for happiness. And they give up and they come home and suddenly they hear it. Turned out the bluebird of happiness was in their backyard the whole time. Well, going through Ian's death and coming back to a sense of purpose, I also came back to a sense of joy, to that another vision quest of sorts of, yeah, I can get there again. And in fact, in that lousy first marriage of mine, I remember being metaphorically on the floor at one point going, could it get much worse? And then I went, oh, actually, it can get much better. If I don't die in the process, I can come back from anything because I'm not relying on something outside of myself. I don't have to trust someone else. I simply have to trust myself. And so that was incredibly empowering. And when Tony eventually died at 90, he was no spring chicken. He left me with a legacy of love. And I remembered always, even from the first moment, this isn't the end of joy. I still have life. I woke up this morning, I'm alive, I'm well, I can live. And I don't have to be cowed by external circumstances. And Gary, my other friend from the Unitarian Universalist Church in Slough, both of us did some training this year called Inner Engineering. A man named Sadhguru. And he's Hindi in origin, and he has a presence in both India and here. And he says, this is not a religious program. This is a program to help you to take charge of your brain, to take charge of your mind. And very much affirmed what I'd been learning in my own life, that, oh yeah, okay. Happiness is a choice. Choosing to have a good experience of life, to be connected, to have purpose. It's all our choice. And it's not dependent on what's happening outside of ourselves. So one of the things I learned and took away from that was a meditation. And it's too much to go into now, but you start with a chant. And it goes, Asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma chotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti, which means from ignorance lead me to truth, from darkness lead me to light, from death, lead me to immortality. Aum, peace, peace, peace. And peace is where it's at. The truth is that life provides us with lots of losses and disappointments, right? Yeah, yeah. And we can either try to defend ourselves against the pain by avoiding thinking about it, by avoiding thinking about our death. But it never works because it's still there like a dark shadow, a dark cloud. In working with people through hospice, I've said, you've already got the dark cloud. You've already felt the pain of this. How about being open to that silver lining where rich life, rich possibilities exist? And I don't know if any of you are on social media, but I am. And there was a meme that came across just last week, and it talked about women and relationship, and it said something about, yeah, you're not going to avoid pain with any woman. So make sure that she's worth the pain. That would be true of men too, by the way. That would be true of men too. I've had 5 friends diagnosed with life-threatening cancers in the last 3 months. And I've seen them all embrace life in the process. So I'm like going, yes, yes. And one of my friends said that he's thinking a lot more about his mortality now, that he's more aware of what he hasn't done, and he's putting action plans into being. And so that awareness of our mortality, especially when it comes right up in front of you, you know, makes you wonder, should I really put that off any longer? Should I put off healing relationships? Should I put off taking care of myself? Should I put off the relationship I want to have with myself, right? Very, very sweet. And the last thought I want to leave you with is, when you don't avoid pain, when you don't avoid thinking about the things that are hard in life, it lets you do so more lightly, and it also continuously invites you into a sense of wonder. And wonder is so healing of anything that might have brought you to needing it. Does that make sense? Wonder and joy, you know, heals the very thing that you're wanting to avoid. And I used to work with a grief support group, and they were easy to work with because they understood from the start that their little one, whether it was a 4-footed friend or 2-footed, you know, big old horse or a chicken, I loved that one, that it's when that being dies, the salvation to the pain is to begin to invest in another love. And that it works for humans too, by the way. Yeah. Thank you so much for being willing to go through this journey with me. And I wish you well on your journey of joy and wonder and being aware that someday you too are going to die. So make every minute before then work for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. That was lovely. This morning's offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we're a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body and/or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Where My Free Spirit Onward Leads, number 324.
Where my free spirit onward leads, well, there shall be my way. By my own light illumined, I journeyed night and day. My age a time-worn cloak I wear, as once I wore my youth. I celebrate life's mystery, I celebrate death's truth. My family is not confined to mother, mate, and child, but it includes all creatures, be they tame or be they wild. My family upon this earth includes all living things, on land or in the ocean deep, or borne aloft on wings. The ever-spinning universe, well, there shall be my home. I sing and spin within it, as through this life I roam. My eternity is hard to ken, and harder still is this. A human life, when truly seen, is briefer than a kiss.
That's it. As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. The flame of this chalice will no longer burn today, but the light of the flame within our hearts continues to shine brightly, illuminating the love felt in our community. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands. Ingrid. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hello, hello.
Yes.
That works.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Kind of. We're still gathering.
These words are by Carl Seeberg. Between the dawn and the dusk of our being, let us be brave and loving. In our little passage through the light, let us sustain and forward the human venture. In gentleness, in service, and in thought. Amen.